Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. As always, it's really great to see you. Last week we talked an awful lot pre-Labor Day about the fall market, and we actually extended some predictions.
Oh, yes, those predictions went over rather well, but we did have some questions. And so we felt like what we're going to do this week is review some of the questions we got to let you know what we might have missed.
Yeah, it was exciting to get that back, and we always appreciate it. Probably the number one question that was asked was, is the fall market just Deadsville? After coming through a fairly productive summer, the question is kind of centered around, is the fall market going to fall flat on its face? And is this a good time to either be looking for a house or putting my house on the market? And our answer is absolutely. I like to always say that the fall market is probably only second to the very early spring market. There's a lot of activity that occurs here after Labor Day. We kind of use Labor Day as that marker.
Mm-hmm.
People again are back from vacations, and a lot of the arguments that we hear is, well, don't folks like to get their kids settled in school just prior to Labor Day so that they get into the school system, they get settled in? Our answer is no, we want to upset the kids as much as we possibly can and make sure that we're going to be moving throughout the school year. No, all seriousness,
No.
it is a time where you see people making decisions, again, making that move to the new home. The spring market is very good. The fall market is probably arguably just as good.
Yeah, second best. And truthfully, while families are a large component wanting larger homes, there are also other segments of the population, whether it's a relocation for a job,
Very strong.
whether it is a retiree wanting to downsize. Many different demographics will want to move throughout the year. Fall seems to be popular. A lot of people do say they want to move before that Thanksgiving comes in, so that they're settled into their new home, can possibly entertain. So you also have to think about that as well.
Yeah, truly.
Yep. The next question that we got was regarding the government layoffs as well as the reduction in force
It's all over the news
exercises
still.
that are happening in Washington, D.C. And their question was, will that mean that a lot of people are rooting, selling their homes and moving out of the area? And so what we did was to actually look at the data. Again, it's the data, not the drama. And what we found is that's not necessarily the case, at least not at this time. We looked at May of 2025, and we also looked not only at Northern Virginia, but also at the DC metro area.
Important.
In May, new listings were up in Northern Virginia 1.5%. That's very small, down 4% in DC. In June, in Northern Virginia, it was down 1.6%, and in DC, it was down 6.6%. In July, up 0.4% in Northern Virginia, down 8% in DC. So the actual opposite was happening, where nobody was putting their homes on the market compared to this time last year.
Yeah.
So I think there's still more to come. Obviously, we have not gotten the end of August numbers just yet, so we'll definitely keep you posted. But in terms of that, what I think people are missing is that whereas you might have resigned or lost your job in the DC metro area, you might have gotten another job very close by, as well as some people are still waiting to see what's going to pan out with all of this as well. So I think it's still wait and see, but for right now, it seems like those job losses are not resulting in a massive home sale in the area at all.
Yeah, and it's a good point, because a lot of those probably people that were laid off early on have found other employment within the area. We talked about that earlier in another video. And, it's also that the people that did accept those early retirements are employed through, in theory, through the end of September. So we really haven't seen that. And we do believe that, again, because this Northern Virginia area is somewhat insulated even from with the federal workforce, if I should say, there are other employment centers, vast employment centers, especially within the Northern Virginia marketplace, I mean, out in the Loudoun County area, there's data centers that are being built left and right. Technology is kind of almost surpassing, if you will, a lot of the other industries within our areas, this Northern Virginia area. So a lot of that unemployment seems to be kind of being absorbed, if you will. You know, and to that note, kind of a secondary note, and this also was just a few questions that we received about pricing. What's happening with pricing in the marketplace? And we've been reporting that to you over a period of time. And, you know, for you buyers, it's probably a good time to get into the marketplace and look at some of these properties that have been on the market throughout the summer that did not sell, because they're probably going to be a little bit more flexible price and terms. You know, we keep talking about some contingencies, home inspection, even sale of home contingencies that are coming back into these offers. So if you're a buyer, you may consider, you know, certainly just going out there and looking some of those properties. If you've been on the market for a while and you're a seller, probably not a bad time to maybe reassess pricing in this current day marketplace.
Very true, very true. There are a lot of opportunities out there. So definitely I think our advice is to think about your situation and decide what is best for you and your family, for sure.
Yeah, and we've talked about often about, you know, contact a professional. Denise and I have been doing this for so long, and we know the ins and outs of these marketplaces, the Northern Virginia area especially. You know, consult with a good professional. It is the answer to so many of the questions that you have.
Yes, so if you're ready to make a move, please reach out. Ray and I are always happy to help.
Yeah, we are. Well, until next week, we look forward to seeing you. Continue enjoying this early fall. The weather is spectacular and will probably continue to be that way for a while longer.
And I'm seeing leaves changing.
Hot dog.
I'm seeing that.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.